The NFL season is almost here, and I'm doing a series where I'm predicting every team's NFL record by picking every game this season. I've already done the AFC, and I've already finished half of the NFC, so if you want to check out those videos, check those out after this one. But let's go ahead and get into the NFC East, and the team I have placed in last in the NFC East is the New York Giants. Now, this is a popular dark horse pick for various reasons, but we'll get into all of that after I pick their record. Now, starting off week 1, this is a pretty tough matchup. I think the Cowboys have one of the best offenses in the league and have a much improved defense. That could give the Giants some problems, plus a big rivalry game could go either way, especially in week 1. I'm picking the Cowboys here. Now, not a great draw in week 2 with the LA Rams, and this is a pretty obvious pick here, the Rams. They are just the better team everywhere. But the next 2 games should be layups. Win over the Titans and win over the Cardinals, but unfortunately a loss to the Commanders. But the schedule doesn't get a whole lot easier here. Going into the bye, losing to the Saints, and a tough loss to the Texans. That Texans matchup is going to be brutal, and hopefully they don't get significant injuries there, but we're not off to a great start. Going into the bye 2-5, hopes are low, but we've definitely seen seasons turn around from here. However, looking at the back end of their schedule, doesn't get a whole lot easier. We got a matchup versus the Eagles. They beat them last year. They're not going to beat them this game. They're going to avenge their loss versus the Commanders, but unfortunately lose to the Jaguars, lose to the Colts, lose to the 49ers, and lose to the Seahawks. Brutal stretch right there. There are winnable games in here, but I wouldn't make it a high probability. But they do pick up another win versus the Browns. Unfortunately, losing the next 2 games to the Lions and Cowboys, and losing to the Eagles in the final week of the season. Now, this is a pessimistic record of 4-13. Now, this is definitely more of a floor pick. I wouldn't say this is the most likely outcome. The Giants have a pretty solid team, and I could reasonably say they could win 7, 8, 9 games. I just have several questions. Number 1, can their offense stay healthy? Jackson Dart showed some flashes last season. However, he did peter off towards the end of the season due to various reasons, and it seems like every other week he's in the medical tent due to a concussion. I wouldn't say I have high hopes for this offensive line. Now, they did add a nice piece in Francis Mauigoa, but we'll see if the rest of the line can really stack up. Now, while Cam Scatterboo is an exciting running back, his running style also leaves him vulnerable to injury, and I don't know if he can play a full season. And this wide receiver room is one injury away from being pretty bad. They also have Odell Beckham Jr., which it's a blast from the past, but I'm not sure how much 30-year-old Odell Beckham after multiple knee injuries is going to do. However, this front 7 is legitimately scary. They have great players all over it, and there's definitely reason for optimism there. And also, I have questions about John Harbaugh. His hype speeches, they aren't motivating. I wasn't ready to run through a brick wall. I don't think I would have been ready to run through a styrofoam wall.
You excited?
Yes, sir.
Standing up here in front of the New York Giants. The New York Giants. It's a New York Giants sitting in this room. The New York Giants. Wow.
We'll see. If the Giants can stay healthy this season, they can definitely win more than 4 games, but if my reservations come true, the bottom can fall out very quickly. And the 3rd place team in this division is the Washington Commanders. Coming off a rough season last year where literally the entire team was hurt, they're hoping to bounce back, and they had a pretty interesting offseason, but we'll get into all that after I go over their record. Now, starting off the first 2 weeks with division rivals is going to be pretty tough. I have them losing both of these games. However, though this is a tough 3-game stretch, they get a big win over the Seattle Seahawks, the defending Super Bowl champions. And the winning continues. They get a win over the Colts, and of course get a win over the Giants. But unfortunately, after this winning streak, it ends in Santa Clara to the 49ers. Now, starting off 3-3, it's not terrible. You could definitely work with this record and maybe get lucky, but the NFC is going to be a tough conference. And, well, there are some serious holes on this team that I will address in a moment. They get a win over the Eagles, tying the series with them, but unfortunately, they take a loss to the Rams. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to win. They take a loss to the Giants. However, they beat the Bengals at home. They take a big, unfortunate loss to the Cardinals. This would be a huge upset win for the Cardinals. Not likely, but we got to get some random games in here. But they come back. They beat the Titans the next week, unfortunately taking 2 straight losses to the Texans and the Falcons. They beat the Vikings, but ultimately close out the season with 2 straight losses, ending the season with a 7-10 record. An improvement over last season, but far from where you want to be since this team made the NFC Championship not so long ago. However, there's a lot of flaws on this team that need to be addressed. Number one, while they did add to their wide receiver room, the problem is it's all aging veterans. Terry McLaurin, he's getting really up there in age. Stephon Diggs has been bouncing around the league for the past couple years. And while they did add a rookie Antonio Williams in the draft, who I do like, I just don't know how much of an impact he will have behind Stephon Diggs. And their defense, it's still pretty rough. Their big addition in the draft, Sonny Styles, well, his first preseason game didn't exactly go that great. Now, he has the athletic traits to develop into something even better, but lower your expectations in year one. We'll see what Jaden Daniels can do with this team in his 3rd season and if he can take them back to the playoffs. It's absolutely a possibility, but I'm not setting my expectations very high for this team. And the 2nd place team in this division is the Dallas Cowboys. They had a busy offseason, and, well, they definitely needed it, but let's go ahead and get into the record first. First of all, they open up the season with 2 straight wins, which is huge, both over division rivals. And they get a big win over the Ravens in Brazil, starting off the season very strong, and then getting a win over their state rival, the Houston Texans. I mean, they're not really true rivals, but it's a big win in state. Now, unfortunately, they do take a couple losses mid-season to the Buccaneers and the Green Bay Packers. But they bounce back with a big win over the Eagles and the most Cowboys thing ever, losing to the Cardinals again. They did this last year. Embarrassingly so. They got blown out last year. It wouldn't surprise me if they lost to the Cardinals again. And they continue this rough stretch with a loss to the Colts. Yeah, we're sitting at a pretty rough record here, but they do finish the season pretty strong. They would then pick up 3 straight big wins over the 49ers, Titans, layup game, but then getting a win over the Eagles again. I will explain my thoughts about the Eagles in just a moment, but this is the Cowboys section. They go into the bye with a loss to the Seahawks, and then come out of the bye with a loss to the Rams, and then a loss to the Jaguars. So I see this team being very streaky, but they end the season with 2 straight wins over the division rivals. They finish the season 10-7. Is a 6-0 division record realistic? Maybe not, but it's a little bit of a fun scenario to talk about. I do think the Cowboys can have a really nice season. 10-7, absolutely possible. In fact, they could absolutely get up to 12 wins. This offense is stacked. Dak Prescott slinging it like usual. He is a top 10 quarterback every season. They have one of the best wide receiver cores that you could ask for with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and they have a very solid offensive line, probably one of the best in the league. And their main headline unit, their defense, for all the wrong reasons. This offense was putting a ton of points on the board, but their defense just couldn't keep up. They were useless in many games. Now, I'm not expecting this Cowboys unit to be a top 10 unit. It's within the realm of possibility they could if they end up playing well with their new defensive coordinator. The offense won't need to score as many points. So I do have high expectations for the Cowboys to return to the playoffs. And that leaves our first place team being the Philadelphia Eagles. I have some things to say about this offense, but let's go ahead and get into the record. First off, they start off with a win over the Commanders. They pick up wins over the Titans and the Bears. Unfortunately, they take a loss to the Rams, but go to London and pick up a win versus the Jaguars. And moving down the list, they will pick up a win versus the Panthers. They are by far the better team game here, but the next couple weeks they take some losses to some division rivals before eventually beating a division rival in the New York Giants right before the bye. And they come out of the bye with a nice win over the Steelers. Now they don't take the same route as the Cowboys and take a loss to the Cardinals. They instead beat the Cardinals in Arizona, but this is a tough end to their schedule. They take a huge upset loss to the Colts and take a loss to the Seahawks, but they bounce back with a big win over the Texans and another big NFC win over the 49ers and finish the season strong with 3 straight wins. And that leaves them with an 11-6 record. Same record as last season. Now this is an interesting unit to talk about because, well, they lost A.J. Brown and, well, the offense doesn't look that great in training camp so far. I wouldn't say Dontavian Wicks is gonna carry this unit by himself. And this defense is a unit to be terrified of. This is what's going to carry this team, in my opinion. I don't think it will be the offense. I think this offense will do just enough to win enough games this season, but they're going to be relying on the backs of their defense to carry them through most games. And we'll see if the Eagles can further defend their NFC East crown that they have been defending for a good couple years now. That could absolutely change this year with the Cowboys, but we will see. So what do you guys think of my predictions? Are they right or are they horribly wrong? Probably the latter. But it's always nice to have some fun with these predictions because I'm going to be wrong anyways, so let's predict some wild scenarios. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like and sub. It's greatly appreciated and lets me know you guys enjoy these videos. And she would also appreciate it if you liked and subbed. Anyways, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!